The Boston Major surge is on. We need another team to get into that semi-final. 2 games down and 2 more to go in the quarters. This time it will be DC versus NP. 2 teams who know every intricacy of each other's gameplay. The days are getting long, but the players have got so much on the line. There is no time for mistakes like that. They're getting themselves up onto stage now, and so please, Boston, make a nice, loud, warm welcome for your quarterfinalists. It's DC and NP.
A driving force in the American scene after 3 short months, Eternal Envy's new squad is growing in stature. Featuring TI5 winner AUI 2000 and the strategic mind of 1437, chaotically entertaining to watch, these veritable community favorites now face their biggest challenge yet. Welcome on stage, Team NP. They fell just short of the ultimate underdog story in the summer, but their phenomenal performance at TI6 heralded Resolution as one of the best carry players in the world. The landscape has changed since their incredible run in Seattle, and with new face Moon Meander in their lineup, they're here to once more establish themselves as a ferocious competitor. Welcome on stage, Digital Chaos.
It's gonna be big. NP and DC. It's not the first time we've heard that said on the desk. In fact, this desk is joined by someone quite new. In fact, the first time. Owen, we're on the same desk.
We are.
ODPixel, everybody, joining us alongside Shiva.
It's amazing. I'm finally here
with you,
This is so weird.
Alex. This is so cool.
It is incredibly cool. It couldn't be any cooler, in fact.
From sitting there cross-legged, being taught how to do 4+4, to talking about Dota 2.
Yeah.
How did you remember that he said cross-legged?
We all did.
That's how you do it.
That's how you sit in school.
You sit cross-legged on the floor and they go like, so, register.
All right.
Davies?
You don't have chairs?
No.
Not in the UK, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind then.
We all just have to split one sausage roll at lunch as well. That's how it works.
All right.
Yeah, we have got some Dota to talk about as well. And first things first, what's going on with that pillow, Owen?
The pillow? Well,
was he throwing gang signs? Did you see it? It was like...
He kind of came out and he did this thing, and I looked it up. I did actually Google anime hand symbol, and I have a result, and apparently exposing the back of your hand with your pinky showing is a symbol for having sex with a woman. So, I mean, I don't know if Envy's trying to tell us something. This is actually according to a 2005 forum post.
2005?
Page 2 of a thread. I mean,
how did you do this digging? The walk-in just happened.
It's incredible, really, what you find on Anime News something or other. It's,
so back
a
of your
real
hand.
learning experience.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, stop. Okay, right. Well, on that bombshell, it's rather appropriate to introduce Team Anime. NP is the first roster we are going to be discussing. Shiva, this is a group, a squad that have already exceeded expectations to some. A full 3-map series yesterday versus eHome.
Yeah, on this team are some of the best Dota 2 minds, even if you put them in a coaching role. Rose done it before, AUI done it before, SVG coached EG, of course, last TI as well. They're all so clever in their own right, and it is amazing to see all these players on the same team. And they have the fan. I kind of feel I was a little bit in doubt who the fan favorite is in this case, because for both squads, people shout a lot. Envy has a lot of followers out there. Digital Chaos, also a North American team or North American organization. I'm kind of taking them a little bit to Europe because I want to also root for Europe there. But I mean, I think both teams have a lot of support from the crowd, and I'm really curious to see what they're going to bring to each other.
It is going to be fun, and we do have to summon their opponents as well. It is DC, Owen, that they're going to be going up against. Let's bring up those names and see who jumps off the page for you.
For me personally, I mean, it's always interesting to see how DC are doing with Moon. Of course, DC were kind of a team that the post-TI, there was a bit of a break where a lot of other teams were playing in tournaments, playing games. DC, not so much. But recently we did get the treat of seeing them a little bit at the summit, obviously with this run up here, and already looking like a team that really is a team to be bested. And I feel this is certainly NP coming into this matchup with kind of the lower hand. DC, for me, they're the stronger team. They've got kind of players as well that personally I feel are more reliable. And that's kind of looking at the fact that you're comparing it against a team with.
So you're
with
saying Jackie Mao's not reliable?
I mean, Jackie, he's reliable in terms of providing us entertaining games.
Sure.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Whatever happens in this series, it's going to be an absolutely amazing few games of Dota to watch.
Does that resonate with you, Winter? Does that sound about right? Unreliable, but very kind of fun to watch NP, and favorites DC. Does that sound right to you?
I would call him a high-risk, high-reward player.
Which basically means the same thing.
No, it doesn't. Fine.
Well,
he has great games. He has less great games, but as Owen said, always entertaining to watch for sure. That's why he has such a big fan base.
Talk about being his teammate then when he plays like this. Wouldn't it be so stressful at times? You kind of hope that he shows up with his decision making.
It's true, but I'd imagine because of obviously we've managed to have a few videos coming out from the kind of the NP camp. You kind of get a little bit of an insight into the way that they're living and working together, and you really do feel the bond. This is the friendship group. This is a group that's still kind of in the honeymoon phase of being a team, and it's a successful honeymoon phase as well.
I mean, DC, they also feel like a quite a close-knit group. Misery in particular, the voice behind DC. He's certainly got a good group. Some would describe a company around him, and Misery does love company. So let's take a quick look at exactly what was going on with the Dane. We take a little look under the microscope of the Danish leader.
I grew up in Copenhagen, a little bit outside the city. It's really nice to come back here, especially after being to this big city like Shanghai and Seattle and New York, and 1.5 days later you're here and there's just silence and chickens running around, and it's really chill here. I always grew up with football. I played a lot of football 5 times a week, and it was pretty much all I cared about in my young years. School was not really interesting for me. I thought it was pretty boring and easy in a way, not so interesting, not fun.
There was no purpose in the future for him with doing school and things like that. I remember when I went to school, everybody says, you have to go to school, you have to learn this, otherwise you won't be anything. I think I heard that 1,000 times.
I had a lot of days I didn't show up and stuff, and I just wanted to play Dota, so I just eventually quit.
I remember him going to France and to Germany and to Sweden and things like that, and then also remember him saying, Father, one day there will be a lot of money in this. And I was thinking, yeah, I'm 45, you're 15, let's see. But he was right.
I think it was a struggle to start playing competitively in the beginning, and I think I've been fighting for a long time with all the new teams. Every TI has been a lot of work and a lot of stress and up and downs, and going to TI and lose is not really fun, and I've tried that a lot of times.
And when this thing happened with Secret here, with he and Weehawk getting kicked how you can say it, then he really took a step. So if he should make a team for this next TI, then he should get together with Riha and they should really step up. And he has to be a captain.
There was a lot of work and a lot of responsibility. It became kind of fun to do, and it also forced out something in me, like the fire to captain my team and to win even more.
I think when you come to this rare decision, difficult decision on how you should act when you're a father or a mother, then remember how was it when I was young comparing to my parents, and how much freedom should you give your child to do what they really want to do.
Now I'm finally getting some recognition for all the work I've put into it, and you can't say that I've been wasting my time playing games or something like that. Now it's actually becoming something that I can live on, and maybe that defines my life in the future as well.
Nobody has come too late to an education. Everybody can get an education if they want to. So if he's standing here and it has been a miss for him, this Dota thing, then he just could go to school again. Nothing has happened. He's tried his dream, and the most important thing is to be happy.
Probably in the best place I've been in with my career, maybe ever. Especially following the last few years, it's just kind of been going uphill for me, and I've kind of established myself more as a player than I've done in the past. What has kept me going and becoming better and better has been the fact that I always wanted to be the best. In that sense, I always wanted to win. But I still feel like I have some responsibilities in my team. We had one really good result, but I think that's just the beginning for us. And yeah, I just have some deeds that I have to still fulfill.
Learning more about Misery, the voice, the captain behind DC. He says he has deeds, he has responsibilities within that roster, and there's definitely no doubt about that. Striving to be the best, Winter. I think that's very common in every single one of these spotlights. You do just you really get a feel and a taste for just how much they want it. Just that competitive drive that is unrivaled.
Yeah, everyone wants to win. That's why I talk a lot about the hunger. The reason why there are always newer teams coming up. It's because they are more hungry than the more established teams. They've already won big events. They've accomplished a lot, whereas the younger teams have more hunger to do that. And sometimes in a crutch game, a single elim format, the more hungry you are, the stronger you are in those games.
It's still quite unique to have. Sure, Digital K is a fairly young team. Misery has been playing Dota for, 12 years? Something stupid, over a decade anyway. If you're talking about young teams.
His Dota 1 team was Mum equals toilet. That was his first team.
Mum equals toilet?
Yeah, MET, yeah.
What? That is shedding some light. There you go. That's some serious research.
That's crazy. But no, in all seriousness, kind of going on from what Shiva said, I think it really is amazing just the amount of different environments that the Misery's played in terms of the players that he's been around. As you said, he's surrounded himself with kind of a very young team. You're seeing players like Saxa, Resolution, these really, really star players that are very, very new to the scene relatively in terms of obviously the 12-year start or such that he's had himself. So it's remarkable to see what he's been able to do, and already here at this major, as I said, DC, they're looking strong. They had a bit of a break, but now coming back with this lineup, it's a potentially very terrifying team to play against.
And you do mention some of those newer names. They do feature, I believe, in our head-to-head. We have chosen to take a quick look towards the support role, if I'm not mistaken, and it is going to be actually Misery who pops up and SVG. I thought we were going to be seeing Saxa's name. If not, perhaps SVG is worth talking about for NP.
Definitely. SVG... not a lot of people knew this guy, and still not a lot of people know this guy. He's a support role, so he doesn't have the flashy plays in the game, but he does exactly what it takes, does exactly what his team needs him to do. And a lot of people that if you would know him, you would know him because he was coach of Evil Geniuses during this TI6, and I'm really happy to see him getting a chance to play at a high caliber team like NP is, and he really fits in well with the minds that the rest of his team have. AUI, as already mentioned before, all those the coach types already have. And that's actually bringing me to a point that I want to bring up because, sure, no, NP has got a coach en route, but Digital Chaos has 2 coaches.
It's a battle of the coaches.
Yeah.
The more the merrier, that's what you're trying to say.
The more the merrier, and they're very confident in this matchup, or at least Bill Bias. I asked him, like, you know, if you're feeling good. There was not a second of hesitation. We're feeling confident.
I mean, there has to be confidence. Yes. There's no doubt about that. The question is, do you have enough confidence? Do you replicate that with your prediction, Shiva? Do you?
Yes,
you are riding the DC train.
I am riding the DC train. I think that NP, they will come in with a great plan. They normally have a good plan also to win their lanes. I like that. Adjusting inside a game is not their strongest point, and I think Digital Chaos is a little bit stronger in that. I'm going to go with them.
Giving it D to DC. Perhaps we'll see it in 3. What about you, Owen?
I mean, I'd have to agree with the DC kind of bandwagon here, but I'm not feeling too unhappy about it because I know that if I'm wrong with my prediction and NP are able to take home the series, it's going to be absolutely incredible. We're going to see kind of clips, VODs being made from it because we're just going to see plays that are going to blow your mind.
Is this so you're talking about that skill ceiling of NP? Is it higher than that of DC?
I mean, it depends, you know, what they've had for breakfast, you know, today. Have they actually turned up? Have they got that little magic touch that's going to be able to bring out that star performance that we know that they can have? But at the same time, as we talked about earlier, just in comparison to the reliability that DC have as a lineup, our NP going to really hit it off. And I've got to play it safe with the prediction and go with DC.
What did you have for breakfast, though, Owen?
I didn't have anything, Alex.
See, no, that is just not good enough. Not good. You were casting the first series as well. You needed some energy.
I woke up. I mean, that was all the breakfast you needed, really. VP versus EG.
That's a good answer. All right, I'll give him that one.
That's my breakfast.
Winter, are you going to continue this DC train?
Yeah, I look at Owen and I'm thinking about reliability, so I'm going with DC.
Okay, I mean, reliable Owen. Good old OD. So that's 3 for DC, and previously when this happened, when there were 3 for one team, I got the EG pick, and I felt very smug for a short period of time. So why not? Let's do it again. I think roll the dice on NP, because I mean, you've already said when if they do win, it will be flashy, it will be explosive, and it's probably going to have a whole lot of highlights. So I'm gambling for that. I'm just complaining. I just want to see more of that at the Boston Major, more of those big plays coming in from the likes of Jackie Mao and more. I'm blue, Abadi Abada.
That is Chen.
But
Omni-Knight?
Chen is not blue.
Is that a Chen? Maybe a Chen that got hit by an ice blast.
I thought it was either an Omni-Knight or maybe an Ogre. Ogre is
it could be Ogre
blue.
Magi, but I mean,
but he's only one, so that kind of throws me off, you know? Only one head.
Maybe that's just how the guy looks,
well, Shiva, there's this weird thing, right, where humans only have one head. It's hard to
I remember, I think you have actually have you been shown the video of the Ogre Magi at TA3?
Oh, no. Was it like a papier-mâché?
There was, no, there were 2 guys who
were due to the suit. That's actually an easier way of doing it. I didn't think about that.
An Ogre Magi was only picked once at tournament. It wasn't like this Boston Major where Ogre Magi is a very reliable pick. And Ogre Magi was picked and they ran up and down the hall.
Okay.
It was brilliant. They were so happy. He was so happy it was 1. But
people are not going to be so happy this time if Ogre is picked.
No, I think they're going to be less happy when Alchemist is picked.
That is actually worse.
This is a good discussion to have. What do you expect to see pop up here? I mean, are there trends that we've established? Is it going to be another Alchemist game? Are we going to be seeing more of the same here?
I mean, I think one of the good news is really for people watching and supporting DC, they're not really a team that recently has been picking a lot of Shadow Demon. They played 1 game of it, but in terms of SD, you know, it's less likely to see them. Unfortunately, over MP, they're pretty much the main offenders. You know, 1437, he loves to play the Shadow Demon. They will take it if they can get their hands on it.
But they lost 3 times with it out of the 4 games they played.
I think we might not see a SD, but we might see Alchemist too. Like I remember Envy when he's drafting. I think it was he picked Terrorblade against Alchemist. He let Alchemist through, and he picked Terrorblade to lane against Alchemist. So they might be the ones letting the Alchemist through.
Well, I mean, this is it. It does seem like this is a recurring trend, isn't it, Winter, of teams believing that they have the answer to the Alchemist.
And I'm a firm believer that if you want to be a true championship team, you have to be, you know, making that bold moves to give heroes away and believe that you're able to beat it. Because once you're actually able to break that trend and everyone has to follow you, then you've already accomplished something really big and you're ahead in the meta.
Yeah, and Shadow Demon is actually the one that NP decides to ban, so still Digital Chaos and Indeed not really the team to pick it up that much this major so far, but still
Shadow
can't
Demon.
really deny his success. And there's the Alchemist, gone as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's always good to see. A little interesting though, obviously, the Naga Siren still in the pool, something that a lot of teams do normally ban out against MP in that opening ban.
Both the teams do run the hero. And MP going back for one of their staples as well. They are one of the few teams here favoring the hero a lot.
They have not yet lost with it this major. 3 wins.
And usually they pair up with they pair up with the Mirana. And DC they're going for that classic Naga Siren duo with Kotal, giving you infinite mana, and you have the recall to move the Naga around the map, D-push.
Right. So I mean, to clarify, Alchemist puts a timer on the game, but so does Naga.
Oh yeah. Oh, wow.
Slower timer.
Yeah. Slower timer. And I mean, MP is a team to play Naga Siren. So if you're really good at playing Naga Siren, you normally also know what is really good against it because you know.
Sure.
But then you also know how to play against it. So I'm thinking that NP will have a plan for this as well. And it is finally. We've been expecting to see Venomancer, not from NP particularly, more from Evil Geniuses, but NP showing their Venomancer in the first phase.
I would say Veno is like a very NA pick. Like even when I was playing the pubs around here last week, there were so many Veno games. Like there were many people using the hero, jungling, support, off lane. This hero is just everywhere.
I was just having a quick look to see how often we have seen Veno. I mean, we saw how effective it was when it was picked. Admittedly, it was a high success rate, in fact, but it was just 6 times so far in the Boston Major.
Yeah, MP did play it back in the group stage against MVP,
right?
And they played it with MSS on the offlane role.
Oh, I remember it was against a Timber. When they picked the Veno, he did not skill the wards early because he was against a Timber. He basically maxed out his Gale and Sting, and he actually owned the Timber because it was all spell damage.
And of course, Fatal Bonds just makes people.
Oh yeah, but Veno plus Warlock. Yeah, that's true. Bond and the Veno ultimate, that is a lot of damage.
I feel like Winter's proud of me.
Yeah, you're getting better, you know. Alex getting better.
Well, they couldn't get their hands on the Mirana, which you already said was the combination that NP really liked. So this is a good second. And Lion, okay.
Lion. Hey, Lion is actually really good against Naga because of the main reason that he has 2 spells that removes the illusions, the Hex and the Mana Drain. That is actually a good option against the Naga.
I mean, it's good against the Naga, but in terms of being a good hero, it's very undervalued at the moment, really, isn't it? It's not seen as
decent.
A top tier hero at all.
Not a top tier support, I agree. But he's very situational right now because he's very weak in the start of the game.
So I just want to recap the ban because it looks like we're going to be seeing. Is that Morphling taken away?
Yeah,
Morphling taken out.
You don't want the Morphling making illusions of your Naga. You don't want to deal with your own illusions, basically. That's what they are saying.
And Timbersaw removed from the pool. Why would NP ban Timbersaw if you say that they already have a Veno that could potentially deal with it really well?
I think primarily the main reason why they removed the Timbersaw is because when you're up against this Naga kind of playstyle, he's going to split push you, and they're going to want to build their lineup around heroes that have a lot of deep push. They clear the creep waves, and you can't push, you can't do anything. You're going to be forced to always deal with your lanes. And Timber is one of those heroes as well. Like you can always use your Chakram to push out the lanes, and you're very annoying in the laning phase. So that hero would be a major distraction from you stopping the Naga from farming.
All right. Well, Sand King removed. One more ban needed for NP.
Sand King removed, so that's another aggressive hero, and might suggest that Naga could be a safe laner here because when you're doing Naga safe lane, you really do not want to go up against a Sand King lane.
Yeah, I mean, as you're mentioning, that really is the strength of DC picking it up at this stage. Could be Misery, could be Resolution.
Keep people guessing.
Keep them on their toes. Another offlaning removed. We're going to see what Moon's going to play. What is left in the pool that he often plays?
There's a lot of heroes right now.
It's pretty versatile.
Clockwork, Tide. I would say maybe Clockwork would suit the Naga playstyle a bit more because you don't want an offlaner. If you're running core Naga, you don't want an offlaner that consumes a lot of resource. You want an offlaner that just needs levels, or maybe something like a Nyx.
Yeah,
you get your levels. You don't need. Yeah, you don't need too much farm. You're running around. You're going to try to set up kills so the Naga can farm. So those kind of offlaners are what you prefer when you have a Naga core.
Yeah, it's been Nyx and Legion Commander are the other heroes that Moon has played so far.
But then again, going back to what Owen mentioned, the Naga could still be a misery hero. Like he does play the hero, so it's not 100% for certain that, oh, this is going to be a core Naga.
Well, there's the Legion in the end, or at least that's what we're assuming.
Yep.
Are we assuming that that is then a Moon Legion Commander?
That'll almost certainly be
Moon Legion Commander. It's very similar towards how they want to have a Timbersaw in their draft where Legion allows them to have a lot of deep push with his nuke, and he allows the team to have very strong laning phase, an off-laner that can distract the opponents. You're going to force them to have maybe 2 to 3 heroes at least in the lane to keep you from farming. So that's going to open a lot of space for the Naga Siren to farm.
Yeah. And Naga Siren, I mean, 21 matches played so far in the Boston Major with Naga and a 66.6 success rate.
Yeah, this is still telling me that there is a very, very high chance it is indeed going to be a core Naga with the LC pickup here. Yeah. They need a catcher and they need someone that has deep push, so that allows your core Naga to function very well. And for MP, so with the LC pickup here, it's going to give them a lot of information that a very likely core Naga is going to come in. So you have 2 options right now if you're MP. Do you go for the push with the Venom, or you're going to pick late game to deal with the Naga? Like late game, like anti-mage, those kind of heroes that are going to be able to go toe-to-toe against the Naga late game.
Do you really want to go late game against the Naga? Because surely that's not ideal.
Yeah, but at the same time, do you think that you can actually end the game? You're up against the Keeper of the Light. There's a lot of people, so it's a very tough decision to make. You have to go for what's best for your team.
Yeah. Could you potentially, if you're MP, think about bringing out something like a Drow strat, getting the Drow Ranger for Aoi in this sort of a lineup?
Still possible right now because they have already gone for the Omni, so that gives me enough information that
that's to be MSS's here, isn't it?
They have already decided that they're going to go for the 5-man push. They're not going to go for late game. It's very likely that MP is going to go for some timing push. I think there was like 1 or 2 games that they put SVG on the Omni Knight. They do play support Omni Knight as well.
Yes, they can do it in both.
And once again, so this is a D push, so 100% certain Naga is the core right now with the Rubik pickup. Rubik Kotal, very good at defending towers, pushing out waves, and yeah, there we go, the draw. So MP.
The draw. Yep.
I like
this. I like this as well from MP. I mean, in terms of the heroes that Aoi's been playing, Drow, Luna would have been your options, but Drow is going to make Veno and Warlock just that little bit scary as well in the laning stage. And they've got that method of shutting the game down before DC gets to a certain point with the Rezo Naga, but it really is a timer. If you're kind of getting 40 minutes plus, it's going to get harder and harder for MP in terms of finishing off the game. I mean, I don't think it necessarily writes them out of it because they can still deal with the illusions. Drow can get an Axe. You've got a lot of AoE team fight. But it's certainly going to get harder. But the fact that they've got this strong early push is a really good sign for MP.
I mean, to be frank, I would have actually preferred the Drow over the Luna because Drow is faster than the Luna. Luna sort of you want that stage that you farm your ancients. You tend to be more passive and you get more items. Whereas for Drow, you're able to be much more aggressive early.
So it does seem like you guys are getting the general consensus of this has to end quickly for NP.
If NP is to win, yes. At least so far, maybe the last pick.
What could change your mind? I don't think there's really much.
I wouldn't say when it goes to ultra late they have no chance at all. It will be very difficult, but like Owen said, the Drow has a plan B. You can go for Aghanims and try to deal with the illusions in that manner. So it's not like, there's no hope at all. After the push doesn't work, there's still a plan B for them. But of course it's difficult.
Yeah, and Digital Chaos just decided to reduce the plan B potential as well with the Medusa ban, another hero that would have done really well in the later stages of the game as well, should it get to that.
It's reducing the 5-man potential. So I think when you run Drow plus Medusa on the same team, you have that front line and you have that hero that's very, very hard to take down before Naga has a lot of items. So that hero would be very scary for DC to deal with. And MP removes the Invoker. They do not want to give DC a lot more laning presence because when you're going for the split push, you want to go for late game, you don't want to give the enemy too much laning presence with the Sunstrike. Any kill means the push gets slowed down, so you do not want that to happen.
Now with this final pick, we're obviously looking at what should be both Weeha and MV's final heroes, the two mids to be revealed.
Pushing hero, Dragon Knight.
What, for MP?
Yeah,
we're running out of time.
I want to see kind of Juggernaut come into play here because I feel that it could be strong. It could be really strong for DC, having kind of that heal over time against MP's lineup. But the OD's a finish off. Drow OD.
Lane dominance.
It's incredibly strong in the lanes.
I mean, it's still really good for 5-man. OD works really well with a hero like Omni, Oracle, because you have that unlimited mana when you're 5-manning with the Essence Aura. So it's really good for you to 5-man. You need to have a lot of sustain against the Quarter Blast. That's really, really important. A mech and the Omni Knight with a lot of mana. And for DC right now, they are going to have to struggle to find a good matchup for the OD. And not many good matchups left.
They could try the We Are on the Earth. It's something that they have done in this matchup
OD?
Before. They have played that in the 1v1.
I mean, as far as OD matchup goes, Razor and Sniper are still in the
yeah,
pool.
Razor Sniper would be...
People love to pick that hero against OD if it's in the pool, which normally
But is that something you can see Resolution playing?
It's not something that he's done recently.
Resolution will take the Naga.
Yeah. Sorry, you're talking about Weehaw in the mid lane. Yeah.
And Weehaw is very versatile. I could see him play potentially, although I like him more on more flashy.
Maybe even a Wind Ranger. I mean,
you probably don't want to put him on the Razor or the Sniper maybe. Like you need to have him on someone like Ursa. I know he's
it's more flashy.
He likes that hero a lot. But then again, does that hero fit the bill of what DC needs?
It's a Templar Assassin.
TA into a Venom switch lineup. I mean, it seems like a bit of a tricky game once the team fights start going on. But do you like it in the lane?
This hero is very important against a Drow Shred because against a Drow Shred, you want to pin them down when they're going for Rosh. You do not want to give the Drow Roshan. And with the traps of the TA, you can easily scout the Roshan happening and you make a smoke and try to take the fight.
All right. I mean, this draft seems to have got both pretty much a 50-50 vibe on the desk. You're not sure who you favor here.
I like what MP is doing.
Okay.
I hope that for them it will work. I do think that the Digital Chaos has a good plan against it as well, though.
We'll find out how it plays out. There's only one way to do that, and that's, of course, by introducing the voices in this game. Your casters are ready and locked in as we're about to venture into DC versus NP. They know each other inside and out, and so do our casters. That's Gods and Toby.
Yes, for some reason, there's just something that attracts Gods and I to these wonderfully long, potentially drawn-out games. NP going up against Digital Chaos. Looking forward to this battle.
It should be a good one. This is the makings of a great series. 2 North American squads, quote-unquote North American squads. I'm looking forward to this. NP is always a fun team to watch. DC kind of agreed upon by the panel to be the favorites in this series, but NP is one of those teams that have a lot of upset potential.
That they do. You never count out NP. NP is this team. While Winter might pussyfoot around exactly how he talks about it, NP are one of these teams where I agree with his final wording, which is high risk, high reward. You never know what they're going to do. And this is a really nice stable draft for them. Starting off with the Drow strat, there's very few of these we've seen so far, primarily because of just the initial bans.
There's a good reaction to seeing the Naga where it's like, all right, they're going to do one of their classic Naga strats. Our response is going to be fast-paced, early-game Dota. We've got the Drow to win the lanes. We can then push in the mid-game. They want to try and beat DC before that Radiance comes up. It does put their lineup on a bit of a timer. But also, if they do well enough in the early mid-game and it does go late-game, Drow with the kind of Ags Maelstrom build can also still fight the Naga in the late game.
We also have to remember too, like NP, how they managed to push their way through. Obviously, it wasn't just down to this, but you have to remember the Warlock combination. And DC have to give this a high level of respect as well. Templar Assassin wants to be jumping around, finding a bunch of kills. Naga Siren's got good AoE control, but if you get caught by that rock, you could be dead, or you just get, well, fight bottom rune. That's one way to do it. Overwhelming odds, over on 3, quick imprisonment. It will be both runes for Digital Chaos, but can they get out? NP's making a break for Roshan at the moment. Into the pit, he's going to time this right. Moon doesn't have overwhelming odds. Roshan collapsed down. TA will take the first blood. It goes the way of the Wii of the Ha.
Well, that's about as bad of a stat as you could hope for if you're NP. Both Rune and First Blood going to DC. You may have banished Weeha, but Moon was there ready to take the money for himself with the bounty rune. And DC looking to contest the lanes. One of the things that they do that other teams really don't with the Naga Siren is go for these aggressive off-lane dual lanes or sometimes tri-lanes. For now, Rezo's just kind of up there by himself, but that's because he finds himself in a 1v1 against the MSS Omni.
Yeah, this will be a fun little battle to see if MSS can at least keep the farm down of Resolution. Upside about running the aggro tri-lane. All the space, all the levels in the world. So it might be a little bit more difficult for Purification to clean out these illusions. They'll continue to riptide you down.
For the DC safe lane, they've got access to their pools, so we'll likely see them use that to try and pull the weight back. It doesn't stack though, so Saksa immediately recognizes something fishy's going on, dewards it, and should be in decent shape as far as this defensive lane goes. The big thing to do in a tri-lane versus tri-lane, where your opponents have the greater damage output, you look at Drow, Warlock, with the Venomancer. This tri-lane, you can't fight them. They do too much right-click damage. They sit back, they cut you out. You've got to use your pull camps. You need to deny farm, deny experience by using those pulls. In DC, they've got access to both of them.
NP, what do you do against it then? You want to walk over with the Sentry Ward? That's still going to bring you under the control of potentially a Rubik and a Keeper of the Light. They've both gone for their damage to start with the Fade Bolt as well as Illuminate. So at least you won't get stranded there.
I think you mix up your lanes now. You see that Naga's not in the bottom lane, and Venu's already venturing off. He's going to make his way towards mid, likely even going all the way to the top lane to try and force DC supports to move. You don't want this supports to be able to just play greedy, use these pull camps, deny you XP and farm. You want to make sure that they have to then go and protect the Naga Siren, because Naga won't be able to farm up top if Venomancer rocks up.
A little bit of a missed pull timing there from AUI on bottom. Means he couldn't actually drag his own creep wave with him. But they did get the Sentry Ward down inside the camp, so this pull won't be happening for much longer. MSS and AUI, in fact AUI already TP's out. They are switching up their lanes. So you asked for it, you got it.
Yep, they don't want to fight the constant denies of this DC trial, and even though they win the 3v3, if there's fighting, there's not going to be fighting. DC's not going to give them that kind of opportunity, and once the Rubik Coddle get levels, then you start getting lifted into Illuminate. Lane gets ugly, so they will rotate all their team to the top lane. Does prompt Saksa to TP up there himself, so now Rubik's up there to help back up Resolution. And Rezo, of course, one of the tankier characters, which is one of the reasons Naga's hard to deal with in the early game. She's got 7 armor, a Poleman shield, plenty of HP regen, and a Mango. Not exactly like this is a squishy carry to shut down.
Yeah, her issue later on is going to be just being kited out by all the slows that can come. If she does get gusted up, then combine it with Gale, Poison Sting, and the Cold Arrows. Retreating, you might tank for a while, but you'll also be stuck on the dire side of the river for a while.
This does mean that for DC, they're doing very well in the lanes because they've got all 3 of their cores with a CS advantage because of NP's movements. Moon's getting mostly free farm at the bottom lane. Up until now, Rezo's been free farming the top, but that's going to perhaps change with the supports up there. But hey, third hero's going to TP up there. DC, they want to take the fight to NP. They've now got Rubik and Coddle teaming up with Naga, leaving the 1v1 at bottom.
They're fine with this. It just changes up the cause. Now it's MSS on Moon on the bot lane. You still have the battle between Envy and Weehar in mid. The CS is very even between them all, but it's the rotation. Misery is in a great position for this with the Illuminate. Flies out the back, attacks into SVG, and SVG dies very, very quickly. 1 point up in Fade Bolt, and you cop the entire Illuminate, and Resolution brings in the level 2 Riptide. That is way too much damage for a poor little Venomancer to survive through.
Yep, nice catch. They have boots on the Rubik there, just having that little bit of extra movement speed boost, and finding that second kill of the game and helping them win this trial lane. Immediately NP's like, this top lane's not gonna, they're basically dodging DC's trial lane wherever it goes. Veno then goes down bottom. They want to try and have at least one lane they're winning, because right now they've been losing all 3 lanes, at least somewhat on CS. Mid lane perhaps a little bit closer than others, but they're trying to turn one of the lanes into a 2v1 lane where they're going to have the edge, but anytime they make a move, DC's making a move to react to it.
Well, eventually someone has to find a better opening. DC, CS, and Killswines is looking good for them, but then how do you transition? Maybe a fight on bottom lane. MSS going in after Moon. Moon will have to TP himself away. Copped a big purification with 2 points up in that degen aura. Makes it difficult for the Legion Commander just to stand her ground, and this is also a Legion that went for no points up and pressed the attack.
A bit of a surprise, unconventional build, but recognizing that he was in a 1v1 somewhat, so opting just to not skill it yet. Do imagine he'll be getting it at least level 5 or maybe like level 7 or 8, but won't be skipping it altogether.
Still a fantastic ability, you're right. But NP are very happy just to let this game tick on the way it is. Maybe if AUI can get a little bit more farm into him, and mainly the levels, needs to hit that level 6, then all of this MP lineup becomes a lot more, well, potent.
Yeah, they're really a lineup that shines with levels. So you mentioned the Drow level 6. Omni's a hero that often just wants to get his levels early on, doesn't really do a whole lot in the laning stage. Perhaps a 1v1 he can try and put some pressure on with the degen build that he's going, but not a hero that's going to make great rotations. His rotations come with levels and farm, and even then it's like a let's group up with your team. You're not smoking to try to find a pick-off as the Omni. You need someone on your team to be the one initiating to help you out.
MSS is on the run. Looks like he's denying himself up to Roshan, and will give the lane to SVG, who cops instantly an overwhelming odds. Gets hit once by Moon and is forced back to his tier 1 town. There's not enough life for him to survive, so he'll have to walk all the way back to base and then TP back out to lane. So more space for DC in the laning phase. And more time where AUI has to defend underneath his own Tier 1 tower. Normally you feel comfortable with this, but when you got a bunch of Naga illusions, it gives DC the ability to dive underneath the tower without any real consequences.
Yeah, DC are getting just so much out of this Naga Siren right now as far as farm and pressure goes. The illusion splitting up. One chasing AUI,
AUI is actually in trouble. The illusions are body blocking. This is currently coming out. It's Resolution doing the work. Allowed Saksa the time to get in close, and then Misery with the Illuminate. He started that whole engagement by hitting the Drow in the tree line.
That's so good from Resolution with the micro. I don't know if that's him or if he's sharing control or something
Mid lane,
there.
Weeha in a little bit of trouble. Envy has imprisonment off cooldown. Weeha's going to go invis, and he's just out of range of the Sentry Ward. It's on the dire side of the river. Another Sentry Ward's coming on the Courier. Will they plan it down in time? There's your imprisonment. So it's just the Plague Wars down for the moment. They're trying to block his path out by blocking in the tree line. Weeha dodges with the meld. Back behind the tree. Snow once again. SVG right in the money. Hits the Gale, and Weeha will tick out. He goes invis. Do they see him? Can he actually survive through this? The Gale is still ticking him down, but it's not enough damage. Okay. Now the Sentry Ward is finally planted. It took a very long time, but they achieved it. They killed off the Templar Assassin, but they lost the Tier 1 tower while all that was going on.
Yeah, it's one of those kills where they had to spend so much as far as buying the sentries, chasing him down, wasting time, that it's hard to really quantify just how worth it is. I mean, they get the 400 gold onto the OD, but realistically, the exchange with Naga getting a tower up top, that's the kind of space that Rezo's just loves to see his team creating for him. And TA had more than enough time just getting back, buying some items, doesn't really lose all too much there. So I think DC will be very happy with the early game, even with that one death onto Wee's Templar Assassin.
Well, you're right, Resolution is the biggest winner out of all of this. If this Radiance timing kicks on, MP have no great way to, well, counter push. DC will control the map, so they have to keep forcing the issue. MSS, or you just creep pulling down the bottom lane.
He's trying to take this tower, but immediately Rubik will just take the creeps off the tower to make sure that he can get this experience. He'll miss level 6, Saksa. We'll be getting from
Envy
behind there. Yeah.
moves down, gets the Astral Imprisonment off. MSS, Purification. Envy's going to stand on top of the target, so they got to hit him. The pick up, where's that mana? MSS, okay, he's going to have enough with just Envy doing the hits. So the Rubik will fall. NP with a good movement down.
Yeah, nice job bringing the numbers needed to try and guarantee this Tier 1 gets taken, and also punishing a support who's just looking for his level 6. Moon's still down here. This is a risky place for him to be, but perhaps banking on the fact that there will be a Rubik TP coming soon. Rubik has respawned now, and Moon feeling very tanky. 1200 HP with Presty attack and 3 points in overwhelming odds. It's very easy to get away from ganks as a Legion commander. That's probably one of the hero's biggest strengths and why we're seeing it picked up so much here at the Boston Major.
Do you enjoy this Iron Talon build on a Venomancer?
It's okay. It's, you know, it's one of those just small little farming efficiencies. He's not going to go full jungle, but he wants to go like partial jungle. Like if he's ever at a jungle camp, he wants to be a little bit more efficient. It gives armor, you know. This item's like not all about farming jungle. It's actually one of the cheaper armor items you can get in the game. And armor, I mean, is pretty good in terms of in Dota 2. So you're against a TA, Legion, and Naga. There's a decent amount of physical damage.
Well, for now, he goes up to the top lane to find the farm. Yep. And P, trooped up on the bottom. You're still shy of the Warlock's ultimate, and this is approaching 10 minutes in. You've only got like just over level 3 Warlock in the hands of Rose. Omni's taken most of the other farms, so Warlock needs to hold this bottom lane.
Really low level, but I guess, yeah, Rose has just been the one reacting to a lot of the plays and never getting any XP himself.
I think Moon might want to give a little bit more respect when he gets fatally bonded to an entire creep wave, and then he stays in range of the Omnite, who then throws down the Purification. He lost about 2/3 of his life in one hit of Purification.
I mean, the good news is when those creeps are dead, there's nothing. You're no longer bonded to anything. You know, those creeps are dead. You don't take any more damage from them.
Yeah, that's the upside.
But you've also lost half your health. But he's got a buddy in Misery to heal him up with a salve. And speaking of Misery, already has a point boost. They're going straight into that Aghanim Scepter. Well, it's going to be a Naga Siren Radiance push timing, perhaps with a Keeper of the Light Aghs timing. That could be very troublesome for NP. And talk about a great item to have against the Fatal Bond Venomancer, this AoE combo. Well, you've got an AoE heal in the Keeper of the Light Aghs.
Illuminate. Moon, the smoke just broke. He doesn't have vision down that ramp. So that's the upside. Envy will get around the back of him, start with the imprisonment.
He's very dead.
And the big group up. And there's your purification damage, fatally bonded to the jungle creep. But while Moon's dying on the bottom, DC properly pushing into that tier 1 tower. SVG's causing a couple of problems. They're only level 3 Plague Wards, so it's not that bad. And also, Suxa was able to steal them, so we've got wards on both sides of the field. Templar Assassin, however, not really enjoying this stance. His TP, realized imprisonment was already used. Weeha! Very, very close to death. He's still ticking. He went back to the tier 1 tower. He didn't actually go all the way home. So the Gale was ticking him down. It's probably the closest tower he could have TP'd to, apart from double clicking.
I imagine that was a misclick. Sometimes, yeah, if you've got like quick cast or something on, don't have that double click TP. But as it is, I mean, DC getting a lot more out of the lanes. You can see the net worth favoring them heavily, and MP just doesn't feel like they've hit that timing with the Drow. Likely we see them try and sneak their way into the Roshan pit, something Envy teams are kind of known for doing. Try to get that early Aegis. They're on the Dire side, they've got the Drow. And they've also kind of hit a pretty good timing with MSS getting his levels. There's no mech or anything inside, but level 6 on Warlock, level 8 on Omni Knight. This is kind of where they're ready to take some of those 5v5 engagements before Rezo has the Radiance. But man, Rezo is ahead of the pack as far as overall farm goes.
Top lane, they're looking for the kill on MSS. If Misery is able to hit, which he does, thanks to the control, and then a purification from the Rubik. But Rock is down from Rose with a Fatal Bonds. He'll connect them again. And Suxa purifies up. This actually helps out MP because they can do more damage to him. The Song of the Siren will stop the fun for the moment. Rubik still has the purification and he wants to kill off MSS. The imprisonment in time from EE was not in time. So Suxa will come back up again.
That timing, it was like Rubik and Omni are both trying to heal themselves, but Rubik has a head start because of the insta-cast, whereas Omni Knight has that little wind-up. Great synergy between Rezo and Suxa there, giving them the kill. Rubik dying, not really the biggest deal for him. He almost got another heal off, and the whole time this is going on, Tia's actually taken over the Naga and overall farm because of the Ancient stacks. We is at 2k gold and close to presumably a Blink Dagger here, although he could also go for that Desolator first. May still be deciding himself.
Well, it depends when MP really want to attack, and Blink Daggers are rather difficult things to do up against Venomancers. With Plague Wards everywhere, you can always get caught out, but if you also just get the initiation, you don't care.
Yeah, with the Legion, because it means if Legion duels someone, you've got that instant follow-up from a Blink Melt Strike. But it's also, yeah, like you say, bad against the Veno or the poison damage. It's not really a easy, guaranteed initiation into a fight. So he saved up, there you go, buys the Blink after having 2.7. He saved up a lot of money, which suggests he wasn't even entirely sure which one he wanted to get. Very good against Warlock. You want to just jump the Warlock and force a bad ultimate out of him, and if he doesn't ultimate, he just dies and doesn't get a chance to use it in a team fight.
Radiant scanning up. They're wondering if MP have any flankers, but MP is running pretty much directly at Digital Chaos. And this is where TA can reveal her Blink Dagger. She's got a couple of side traps, and in fact even gets an Invis rune. The Illuminate slowing up the push from NP. With no creep wave, NP can't really just claim the tower.
DC are just so good at putting themselves in these positions where Rezo is free farming on Naga, and there's nothing the opposing team can do about it. All they can do is go try to take objectives elsewhere. Like, it almost feels like it's a waste of time trying to kill Rezo because it's going to take too much and waste too much time.
He's found Rose just walking on the side. The first side trap will trigger with the Melt Strike down to -8 armor. It doesn't take much longer to kill him off, and even Suxa able to manage to pick up that level 2 Shadow Word. So sustain gets even better for Digital Chaos.
That's the target you want to find if you're Weeha on the TA. Find that Warlock, take him out. He doesn't want to solo ultimate a TA. It's not going to do too much, and instead just goes down, and that ends the push. You can't maintain that push without the threat of the Warlock Chaotic Offering. Was still on cooldown, but NP were trying to just group up around that mid lane in anticipation of it coming back up.
T1 tower in the bottom lane to be lost by MP. No one is nearby to help out. In fact, they're already starting to TP the Warlock over into the Dire jungle.
Every time Rezo plays his Naga. There we go, 15-minute Relic. He's going to have like a 16, 17-minute Radiance.
T1 tower dropping, that's some extra cash as well.
NP are not breaking, they're not breaking T1 towers before the Radiance. They're going to have to start thinking more long-term, think about the late game, because with the Radiance up, they will really struggle to take team fights or to deal with the split push.
NP's looking for a fight. I don't know if they're actually close enough to the Radiant Observer Ward to be scouted out. But they smoked inside their own jungle, and that one deep ward in NP's jungle might have caught a glimpse for DC. Another reason why Weeha is doing his little runaround thing. He knows he can blink away with refraction up. It doesn't put his blink dagger on cooldown when they initially attack him. Unless he gets stunned, then he'll be in trouble.
Top lane still being chipped away, but
SVG loses so much life, and with the Plague Ward stolen by Rubik, he gets just the last bit of damage in to find the kill.
That burst damage potential.
There you go, mid lane. Weeha starts stacking on the OD. Fatally Bonds is on TA, but you can see Weeha. He didn't know if he could 100% get the kill. That's why he tried to go for the side blade hit. With the blink now off cooldown, if he jumps in with the Metal Strike, EE defensive imprisonment will allow him to back up. The Shadow Word's giving him a little bit more help. So Weeha back out of the imprisonment, but won't find the kill on the OD.
Double damage TA, not something to joke about. As MV finds out, having that Veil giving him that nice little bit of extra armor, but realistically, this is not like a super scary OD. Has the Omni to back him up, and that classic OD Omni Knight combo is there, but DC just have a very difficult amount of damage to deal with coming out on single targets from the LC and TA, but then also that kind of spread damage across the map from the Naga Siren they've got to address. And OD's not a hero that's able to easily deal with and push out those lanes. Can kill the Naga illusions pretty fast with the orb, but just isn't all that mobile right now.
I'm interested to see what Misery Scribble was just then. Scribbled on the mini-map and basically drew a line that went from the Dire Seeker shop almost like directly down over the river. He had about another 5 lines in his one. But wonder what the purpose of that is, if it's just like, you know what, guys, like, we need to control all of this area. Make sure that NP is incapable of farming up these stacks, and this gives them access to Roshan with an early Templar Assassin Desolator.
See where all the TA traps are all in that area. There's 3 traps to the north of Roche. There's actually no traps in Roche, but they're all kind of just outside of the pit, anticipating NP to move on through that area if they ever want to go for Roche itself, but that's where NP are likely to smoke up. So yeah, okay, now he puts a trap in Roshan, which was, I'm about to say, much needed in case NP do go for that little sneak Roche that they like to do sometimes.
Wait, hang on, that didn't work. He started to press the attack and was about to blink forward. Rose showed himself for just a split second to Fatal Bond the creep wave. Now Envy jumps in with his imprisonment. Moon, he loves this with no astral imprisonment. He wants to go for the kill on Envy. Repel is allowing Envy to do what he's doing.
Yeah, they're also safely just chipping this tower down, so there's no like necessity to force a fight here if you're Moon. And DC's Misery's probably like telling you like only go if you get like a really good target. If you can get Envy and we kill him, sure. Ideally you want to even get the Omni Knight. Get him with the jewel. But the problem is, you dive past that tower onto NP, you're playing into their hands. You're playing into the Warlock Chaotic offering Fatal Bonds, Venomancer ulti, all those big AoE combos come together if you're diving into them. So DC, they do the safe approach. They slow siege, take the tower from afar, and then fall back, and they're going to get themselves an Aegis.
Yeah, and this is perfect. The fear of just the jump for the Legion Commander is enough to keep MP away. So Digital Chaos now with an Aegis behind them. They've cracked over the 10k net worth advantage. We're not even 20 minutes into this game. NP are being backed into a corner, and they're going to fight their way out. This whole team fight combo, we've seen them do it before. It was with the Marauder instead of the OD, and they had the setup of the Naga Siren.
They also had the Disrupt. They had like the team fight of all team fights there. This time around, it's kind of like, well,
bits and pieces.
They don't have the setup. That's the biggest thing. I'm okay with them not having like a full-on team fight lineup, but the key piece for me is the one hero that goes in to start the fight. It almost feels like that's going to be Envy with like an Astral, but leading the fight with an OD is a very risky maneuver, even more so if DC get a Diffusal Blade, which could be an item that, well, Naga's going to get eventually, but even perhaps Weeha and the TA is going to consider it. We'll see if it's going to be like a BKB into Diffusal, potentially even a straight Diffusal. Once there is a Diffusal online, this game gets very tricky for NP.
Notice this again.
Take those fights.
Notice this again from DEC, where they just show one hero on the lane that's very capable of pushing by himself. And then they just take out another outer tower. NP not fighting. They're still splitting up. They're still pushing. Down on bottom lane, AUI is trying to find that space.
And there's a Naga Illusion in all 3 lanes. There's a Naga at top and Illusion at bottom. They want to get the Naga herself, but
Envy was too close. He actually broke the smoke when the creep wave had vision up the hill.
Yep. And that Radiant Observer Ward helps protect Resolution as well, so his team's just going to meet up with him towards that top lane, take that last outer tower, which will be a freebie, as MP have no real ways to defend this one. The Drow strat is not feeling at all like a Drow strat right now.
It's a Drow strat where you've taken 1 tower in 21 minutes. Yep. This isn't a Drow strat. This is something else that we can classify once it's back to the panel.
It really is this. I mean, the Coddle is there as one of the big tower defending tools, but I think more than anything, it's the power of the Legion Commander. We're seeing more and more of this hero. It's kind of been a hero that was often sometimes joked about, like, oh, why would you ever pick Legion? It always felt like it would just lose games, but it seems teams are really figuring out the hero's strengths and how and when to pick it. Sometimes you just pick it in the first 2 because of how much utility it has, from the press the attack to the overwhelming odds to its just sheer tankiness in lane. It's so good in these like dual lanes in the off lane. It can 1v1. And Moon, he's only 0-1-1. He's not won a single duel, but he's been just very annoying and impactful, preventing these towers from going down, keeping NP busy.
And that's the name of the game for DC. They know they got this game as long as they can keep controlling the map. And thanks to their lineup, it's not a real difficult thing to do. How are we actually away? Does he have the money for it?
For the Ags?
Yeah, the Ags are what I'm thinking. Because at that point, then this game turns into a brutal split push kind of approach. Because then the Naga controls all. She BTs out, instantly brought back in again. So DC had never down a man for the fight.
The great thing about having the TA is you've got a good hero to actually hit buildings with. Looks like DC are perhaps setting up at bottom, though. They've got Naga leading the way, could initiate with a sleep.
Well, here's the recall. Misery, bring him one in, start the song with the Siren. Fairly certain that's going to be your TA coming in. He actually brings in Moon, so wait for it. The Illum doesn't hit properly, only hits an SVG. The duel will begin on the Drow Ranger. Resolution will help out, and do we have ourselves a winner? Yes, we do.
They got both. The Astral cancelled the TP of Venom. What a great maneuver from DC. They showed 2 or 3 top. It was just the Naga setting it up with the sleep, and then the recalls in from the Keeper of the Light. That was a perfectly executed game. DC haven't had to make too many aggressive plays, but one of the first ones they actually do nets them a Drow Ranger. That really cripples NP.
Very patient play from Digital Chaos. Resolution, oh, what is he doing? He's just holding him here. There is a movement. It's Weeha. Thanks to the Observer Ward. Sees MSS, Rose, and Eternal Envy down. That Sentry was looking for the ward in the lane. It's not close enough to the hill. So Digital Chaos will keep their vision, which is very, very tight from that mid lane to the top lane.
DC have everything they need at this point. The BKB comes up for Templar Assassin. Moon could theoretically buy one himself fairly soon.
They've still got the Aegis for another 50 seconds or so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they'll get like an actual high ground push off of it, like outside of what damage they've already done. I mean, they're starving out NP though. They've got deep observer wards at top lane, at mid lane. They're keeping NP in their base. The TA traps also functioning as like little mini observer wards.
Here's that little play on bottom lane once again. So the Song of the Siren, just a straight setup. They probably want the Illumina to hit the Drow Ranger as well, but they brought more than enough damage to this fight.
Yeah. Big thing was they positioned the Naga to the right side, so the Gust was not going to catch the LC as he blinked in. He blinked in from the north, while Naga was kind of to the south of the Drow, so he avoids the Gust there, and very, very well executed for the most. I mean, obviously they missed the Illuminate. It could have been more well executed, but the idea and the concept was there, and there was no way Drow was going to live. The Rubik TP ensured the second kill, but the Drow was the one they really wanted, and they made sure they got that one.
There's your Aegis reclaim, DC. Is it yet that time with the fresh Octarine over on Resolution, the BKB you mentioned before on Weeha? You got Blink Daggers on Rubik for initiation, Legion with Blink and Armlet, and still got another 3.4k-ish gold. It's like Digital Chaos have everything they want to fight, and MP just need a good initiation. But where's their vision? They don't see anything in the Secret Shop. The Illuminate flies down. So they're very well aware of where DC is, but because the positioning of DC and with that true side of the daytime, they just can't do it. SVG jumps in, able to actually code up quite nicely with the ultimate, now dueled up, completely isolated from the rest of his team. MSS trying to keep up, maybe with the Guardian Angel he can be protected. Envy actually going to imprison him and hold him there. Guardian Angel, perfect steal as well from the Rubik. Warlock gets ripped apart. MSS will join it. This Rubik is running circles around MSS. 3 heroes down for MP and little to no cost.
That was a gem pickup from MSS. They're kind of in that position where it's like, well, we're stuck in our base. We have to buy a gem just to try and deny DC's vision. and because we're kind of in such a desperate position, so on the way back in. So they lose that 1800 gold swing just from the gem alone. And
Envy just walks in.
He's going to lose his whole mana pool.
Gets mana lead, gets blinding lighted back, so then he gets stunned up. Eternal Envy, say goodbye. Buyback gets a bubble and he'll expand it, but he's already calling the GG. That kind of maneuver, NP knew it. This game was unsalvageable.
That was a great game from the laning stage. NP were in all kinds of trouble. DC winning all 3 lanes. The mid lane perhaps one of the closer of the two, but I mean, you've got a Weeha TA just getting the farm he needs and creating the ancient stack. So when you win all those all 3 lanes, it gets very hard to turn the game around. And that's winning all 3 lanes with a Naga Siren.
Yep. It's a Naga who has no counter to a split push, a Templar Assassin who has momentum. That is the dream start for Digital Chaos. And I don't even know what MP is meant to do about that. Like, the laning didn't look right. The Drow Ranger was very... Well, I'd say smothered would be a big word for her. There was just no space to get levels. There was no time for her to really come online and be that pushing Drow that we know and love.
I think Naga is a hero you may just have to ban against DC. In my mind, they play the Naga differently to most teams, and I think they play it better than almost any other team because they don't play, let's protect the Naga Siren. They say, let's go and fight the opposing team. A team winning all 3 lanes with a Naga Siren is almost like somewhat unheard of. That's not how the hero is meant to work. It's meant to be this, we're kind of useless hero until you get Radiance and then you split push the lanes. No, Naga has some of the best base stats and base armor in the game, so they're just using the strength of Naga's laning stage to win everything.
Yep, and we've seen some other teams like Nubia. I remember KP was one of the big ones that like to manipulate that by having these one-on-one matchups. The rotations of the lanes worked really well for Digital Chaos as well. So with all of this starting to pile up, Digital Chaos is just sitting there going, okay, we're not really stressed. There's no real problems with our draft. Everything is very, very solid. NP trying to go for this combination. We're wondering as well about like what would happen with that Venomancer. Is it going to be a core off lane? Are we going to see that kind of thing? But I think you hit the nail on the head, man. Where was the setup?
Yeah,
where was the setup from NP?
They had this idea where they played so many times with the Warlock, having these big teamfight spells does so well, but without the setup, it doesn't work. They didn't have the Mirana go with it, which they normally do. It didn't feel like NP in their comfort zone.
All right, so how do they change it? Game 2's coming up.
How long was that game?
How do you rework this so NP actually has some control?
49 seconds.
25 minutes. That's how long that took. Yeah, I mean, sorry, so we got to rephrase the question I was asking to Odie, just how long that took. It felt like, we barely got going and the game was already over.
Naga strats aren't meant to win in 25 minutes, typically.
Yeah, we were saying that. I think we closed on strap yourselves in, it's a long one. And, I mean, what happened? NP completely deflated. I guess I'll have to ask these guys, and you can go ahead and shoot the person that just walked in front of that camera. All right, sweet. You go do that. We'll go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty. Still, Shiva, Odie, and Winter are hanging out with me. And, I mean, that is the perfect way to start this discussion, right? Is you sit there and say, Naga Siren. We said it was a poor man's alchemist. We're going to get the long game. We're going to go all the way. However, we find ourselves 25 minutes later saying that DC had picked up game 1. Winter, I mean, you weren't particularly convinced, actually, by this draft as you saw it in action.
I think they overvalued like the Omni and Veno a lot. They had a wonderful 5-man draft. They wanted to push, but they couldn't clear out the lanes. They have no D-push, they have no catch. They couldn't pick them off. They couldn't really get the lanes pushed out far enough. So you can utilize this 5-man combo that they have. Like, it worked really well when they had the Mirana because Mirana provides a lot of push. You clear the lane, so it allows your team to group up and push down towers. That was what I felt was severely lacking in terms of MP's lineup.
Yeah, overall, I felt like DC was just very well prepared to what NP had to bring.
I mean, NP had no deep push and no catch, so what they basically had to do is just push the lanes out, make sure that NP can't 5-man.
Yeah, and it really was the timing as well that DC were able to pull it off. As you mentioned, it's a Naga team winning as quickly as they did, but it was just the way that they played it and the really nice final pick coming into action. Weeha grabbing that TA. We saw getting the Ancient stacks online, getting a really good timing on the Blink, Deso. Suddenly they were pushing towers a lot quicker than MP were able to. Saxa, he was stealing the Veno wards, that was adding to the push potential as well. And it all kind of just spiraled out of control ever since the laning stage, which was just a bit of a mess for MP. The decision for DC to run aggressive, we saw at the start MP's safe lane starting to crumble, and then it kind of spiraled off that start, really.
I mean, where are the real positives? Who were your kind of the ones that you felt like had the biggest influence on that victory? Or are we genuinely going to come away from the first win saying it was a team effort? Do we go look at Weeha's TA? That seemed to be the one at the tip of your tongue, Odie, and I see Winter nodding.
I talked to to Sebastian, Mad, during that game, and he said it was just a draft win.
Just a draft win.
And in that case, you can credit Misery for that one.
Okay.
So, it was a solid draft. NP didn't really challenge it that hard. We talked about them having to have specific timers, them having to be very aggressive, but then they got their 2 supports, which I think maybe they changed their minds about having the Venom as a support later on. Having a Warlock and a Venom as supports are not your typical super aggressive supports to go for if you want to go for a Drow strat. You really have to win your lanes, and then if you don't, there's not much of a plan left for them. They tried to maybe take it late, but they were too far behind. They didn't even play it even during the lanes. They lost. They went for the Drow Ranger on the offlane at the start, and it just didn't pan out. Then they swapped it about, and they just couldn't get their plan off the floor.
Does that sound about right, Winter? I mean, the draft, you felt already, from what I understood, it was acquired 50-50 actually at the end of that draft before you saw it put into action.
Well, I didn't really like at the end when they sort of pit the Venom into a support and they wanted to fit the Omni Knight into the draft. I like the opening, but what followed up after that wasn't really that great, I felt, because they didn't have catch, they didn't have D-push. I mean, they had super good team fight, yes, but you can't use it. That's the problem.
Right. There was no actual team fight for you to implement that into.
Because you never get into a team fight, because the creeps always push out.
Right. Well, that was a problem. We can bring up the scoreboard. You'll be able to just refresh your memory of exactly what heroes were failing to find those team fights, and as well as other things. Owen, as you do take a deep breath and look through that one, is there anything that stands out to you, any scores or numbers?
I mean, obviously, for instance, looking at Rezo, the way that he played this game, the amount of farm, the amount of creeps he was able to hit, very, very impressive. You see him nearly hitting 300 CS in the time that this game went on. Didn't die at all. His positioning was absolutely perfect. I don't know if it's him necessarily or the Captain Misery making the calls and saying, go to this lane, we're going to move you over here. But whoever was making those decisions did it absolutely bang on. There are points in the game as well where, obviously, as you see with the 9 assists, they were getting Resolution involved in the fights as well. It wasn't like they were just saying, stay over here, we're going to fight here. It's like, we can now use this early Radiance timing, get you stuck into the fights and make sure that you are miles ahead of any of the cores on MP and make it pretty much impossible for MP to come back.
Incredibly even damage distribution across the whole board. I mean, literally lowest 4.7 and the highest 6.9. That's completely opposite we're seeing from NP. I don't know how much you want to read into that, but either way. With that said, we are going to be having a little bit of an opportunity to take a look under the hood of this game. It was a quick one for DC as they do throw it down and say, what have you got, NP? And now we're going to see what Purge has got after this one.
It was a pretty good draft for DC. That's really what I saw there. The lanes were really impactful. They did a bit of a weird thing on DC's side. They ended up going for a safe tri lane that included Legion Commander rather than a typical carry. And by doing that, it allowed them to easily pressure the enemy's tri lane, which was a Drow Ranger. Legion very good against Drow because Drow hits very weak in the early game. So the other thing that was cool about that is as DC or NP realized that they're in a bad laning setup, they're going to want to take their supports, or ideally their core, and put them somewhere else where he will get farmed. So what they ended up doing was grabbed these guys and they started TPing some to the top lane. But the easy part then is that it only takes a little bit, only 2 heroes instead of 3 from the Radiant side to actually swing as well. So they basically just got to rotate both supports to the safe or to the off lane to actually contest the Drow's farm. And that's basically what we saw in the early game. I mean, it was about 3 minutes that the supports rotated over. Drow Ranger had already been here, but she only had 8 last hits versus the 15 of the Naga Siren. None of the 3 cores of DC really lost much at any point in time from a lot of farm. And even they end up killing the Venomancer with a nice blast from the left, which ultimately gives them a lane advantage. So you can just see it. They have 3 heroes in the safe lane, or in the off lane. Drow's farm is being contested. She can't actually zone out the Naga Siren from getting last hits. So basically DC is getting everything they want out of 3 lanes. Envy had a great start, but I mean, when this is how you're dealing with the Drow Ranger, the Naga's not even here. Those are just illusions, and she's busy actually pushing the tower. They easily kill the Drow Ranger multiple times, guaranteeing that she doesn't get farm. And ultimately what MP has to do is try to just push the game down, but it was pretty straightforward for DC to stop that. That's why they had Keeper the Light. Rubik can help with that as well. And in the meantime, they've got one guy farming Ancients, and they've got another guy in the bot lane still getting last hits. So really easy game for DC because of the laning setup.
Thanks very much, Purge. Yeah, okay, I mean, the tip of his tongue is they want it on the draft. Shiva, you said you heard it from Sebastian as well.
Yeah, it was a bit mixed signals coming from the draft and NP. You knew already that they were going to have to go for an early push because of them going up against that Naga Siren, and then they just didn't follow through with that plan altogether. I felt like they kind of were hesitant to do that. It felt a little bit of a little bit off.
Disjointed. Disjointed is probably a good way to frame it.
Yeah.
Just some kind of closing points then before we do talk about the next draft, even maybe see what the guys are saying over in the social media stratosphere. But Winter, you keep coming back to this point of saying there is no catch, no way of closing that gap. Is it a necessity to you? Do you consider in this instance it should have been?
Yeah, you have to be able to catch, especially against like so much defense. They have the Kotal and the Rubik. If you don't have a hero that goes to the back line and kill them, you're never getting the towers. That was, I think, their biggest problem that game.
No towers. Not good enough.
No towers, not good enough. But NP, I mean, they have some of the strongest minds in Dota on their team. I do think that they can come back and have a new plan ready to go heads on for DC. These are two teams that can go head to head, and there's definitely. You don't agree, Winter?
Yeah, putting MSS on a different hero, I think.
Yeah.
A different plan would be like putting him on like a Beastmaster.
Winter has suddenly become like the biggest anti-Omni Knight fan. You really are not. You're in the hallway here on the desk at the start. You are just anti-OK.
Well,
but you are
I mean,
OK.
If the others,